Welcome back. I recently discovered that besides YouTube, people put their videos on other social media platforms like Facebook, and today we're going to be addressing one of those videos. This should be interesting. As far as Facebook videos go, that is quite possibly the greatest intro I have ever seen in the world.
What's up, Facebook friends?
Yo!
So recently there's been a topic that I feel has been coming up more and more often lately, and it seems like day by day it just seems to be getting more and more prevalent in my everyday walk.
Would that subject be the US presidential election by chance? And to my American audience, vote Cthulhu, the greatest of all evils.
Anyone who wants to tune out now, this conversation is going to be about feminism.
Oh no, that's quite alright. I think I'll stick around. There's a chance you may say something I agree with and I want to point it out, just so I can say that I don't always go after feminists solely to disagree with them. Although I will say the US election's far more interesting than feminism right now, but if I say anything on the US election, I'm going to get masses of thumbs down. I don't want those because my fifis are so delicate. Donate to my Patreon.
If you're still here, thank you.
And you are more than welcome.
So many people are deterred by the word feminism.
Well, they do say actions speak louder than words, but in this instance, the actions completely devalue the word.
You know, not to call her out or put her on the spot or anything, but when I told my mom I was a feminist, she was upset. She was shocked. She didn't want me to be a feminist.
Is it possible your mother saw how damaged the feminist label was? Is it possible your mother saw that men were being openly discriminated against by feminism? Or perhaps other people, other groups, being discriminated against or attacked or bullied for not identifying as a feminist? Maybe your mother has a different view on equality and doesn't need that label. Or perhaps your mother was upset because she wanted you to amount to something and didn't want you to then start developing a massive victim complex and blaming other supposed systems, myths in fact, on other people's failings.
What does feminism make us think of?
In truth, that's quite a vague question. In some instances, you could think of some good things that feminism has accomplished. But if we're going to go by current year, thank you, Trudeau, we're going to go ahead and say predominantly negative things that actively seek to discriminate and bully people based on their race, gender, and sexuality.
Militaristic, jackboot, anti-patriarch, up with the matriarch, bra-burning types.
While I'm sure some of those exist, they were not the very first on my mind.
That we've seen in videos and that gets promoted as the problem with feminism?
Well, you can hardly say it's a redeeming quality. Also, there are politicians in countries that endorse this more social justice, politically correct, over-the-top regressive ideology that endorse and support certain feminist ideas that are very, as mentioned before, regressive.
Okay. If that's what first comes to mind, I understand, but it's part of the problem. We've been programmed to think that feminism means something other than women being held and given the same opportunities, abilities, rights, treatment as men.
Oh, so you're saying that those acting in the name of feminism in a negative way are not real feminists? Why does this sound like something I've heard before?
Everybody being equal, same playing field.
So something that is already in place legally in most developed Western nations. Unless, of course, you now want to go down the path of pointing out where the disparities lie, and men are knowingly treated unfairly compared to a female going through something similar, i.e., housing, benefits, state handouts, rape law, domestic violence, and shelters and support.
You know, a lot of times you'll hear gentlemen make the conversation about facts.
Is that such a bad thing? Oh God, the dreaded citation.
They'll say, I want to hear the facts about this. If it's really that women only get paid 80% for what a man does, then why wouldn't everybody hire women?
You know, I've heard that argument quite a number of times already in the past 18 months that I've been making videos, and I'd always surmised it was because the employer was not so stupid as to believe the nonsense pushed, and instead would look at company policy that says, and law, that we must pay these two people, male and female, the same for doing the same job, unless they are negotiating contracts. Then they earn their own salary and bonuses and whatnot.
You know, if women want more time on the microphone, they should take it.
Well, it is often said that to get far in life you must take a certain amount of risk, which has been statistically proven to be something more associated with men.
Okay, well, that's your perspective, and that's why you're part of the problem.
Now I'm looking forward to hearing your explanation as to how someone having an opinion is a part of a problem. Everyone has an opinion, and I don't see how it is a problem when it is only that. Opinions can be changed with fact. That's why they're called opinions.
It's not as simple as, well, if they don't like how it is, they should change it. Because when they try to change it, when women or men try to change things for women, the backlash is ridiculous and relentless. And we're called man-haters and man-eaters. I've been called a fag a number of times because I'm a feminist.
From what I've noticed, the only real way to get any change going is when people work together. But then with these labels separating people, it doesn't seem to work. And how your mother chooses to address you is none of my business.
One of my favorite actresses, anybody who watches Game of Thrones knows who Arya Stark is. Well, the female that plays Arya was asked at one point, is Arya Stark a feminist?
I've watched Game of Thrones, but I have not paid a whole lot of attention to interviews to the cast and crew and stuff like that. But I would hope she'd say no, because if you compared what Arya Stark does in the books and TV show to what feminists do now, there is no real comparison. Arya Stark actually gets things done, does things, whereas feminists create more problems. Oh, hang on, maybe they are.
Her answer captures exactly how I feel and how I think and how I will be treating those of you for the future.
You're not about to read out that quote where Maisie Williams said, if you're not a feminist, you're a sexist, are you?
She said, I never knew what that word meant. When I asked and someone told me what that word meant, I thought, isn't that just a person? Someone who believes that women and men are equals? Isn't that just a person? But nowadays, you're labeled as, I don't know, what's the opposite of misogynistic and chauvinistic?
It's a bit of a shame that Maisie Williams didn't go out of her way to openly look for the information herself and instead relied on the information of others. To be truly sort of skeptical, critical, you must come to the conclusion on your own, and you must do it informed yourself. And the opposite of misogyny and chauvinism is misandry. If you hadn't shot this on your phone and uploaded this to Facebook, I would be critical of your lengthy pauses being as annoying as those who overlap their jump cuts.
She also goes on to say, we should stop calling feminists feminists, and we should call anyone who isn't a feminist a sexist, and I couldn't resonate with that idea more.
Yeah, I knew that quote would come up. It's a shame I got it wrong earlier, but I knew the quote would come up. She got so much flack for that comment because it wasn't just her that used it, it was somebody else, and I consider it as one of these more extreme and ultra retarded ideas where if you don't agree with something, you are this bad person. I can disagree with anyone in any of these supposed communities or groups, labels, whatever, and I should be allowed to without simply being called a bad person because of it. I am not a feminist. Does that mean I am a sexist? No, I treat everyone equal regardless. And the fact it resonated with you is why your mother calls you a faggot.
Do I think women need to be given special treatment? Do I think that women are as physically strong as men? Do I think that women should be given the same amount of pay if they're not as equally capable of the work?
Just before you give your answers, I'm going to give mine. I do not agree with affirmative action. Women are not as physically strong as men statistically, for the most part, although they can be stronger in areas like forcing a submission hold or using a very aggressive, dirty tactic to subdue a male. And the third one, women should be paid for doing the same work. Whether they are capable of doing the same work is irrelevant. If they have the same job and job title, they should be earning the same amount of money.
No, not to a fault on any of that. It's not black and white territory.
I disagree. If something is wrong or unfair, how is it anything but right or wrong? Or in this case, black or white?
But to the man who would say that it's more about that than it is about the idea that women should be treated as equals, I say to you, my friend, you are the problem, because rather than discussing the fact that there is a problem and how to get out of the problem, you would rather spend time debating if the problem even exists.
But it is black or white. It is right or wrong. There is no subtle nuance in that for people being treated unfairly. A discussion should be had about how these things exist. You may want to mention the pay gap. Not real. Rape culture. Not real. Patriarchy.
Dun dun dun.
Not real. And we, on the side of non-feminists, so anti-feminists included here, are more than willing to have these discussions. But we never get to have them because people block us too damn fast or think that we live in our own echo chamber while you protect your own.
Do I think that all lives matter? Yes, all lives matter. Black lives, female lives, Mexican lives, Jewish and Palestinian lives alike, children and adults alike. Everyone's lives matter.
Psst, and white lives matter too. Faggot.
But if you go to a doctor and the doctor says you have a broken arm, are you going to look him back in the face and say, all bones matter, doc?
No, I'm instead going to say, my arm is broken, could you please fix it? Although I would point out that since all our bones are important, yes, all bones matter, but in this instance, and the comparison you're making, while shitty at best, it's just the broken one that matters. I like the fact that you're comparing one bone to Black Lives Matter. Well done.
Think about that the next time you want to talk about what's broken and what's not broken.
I would, but your comparison implies that black people are broken. I would much rather treat people, all people, equally. Is that so hard? Do I need a label for that? No.
And I'm talking to you if you are a Caucasian or even partially Caucasian male between the ages of 18 and 55, and you live in this country and you don't stand up every single day for women.
I guess congratulations are in order. You have confirmed yourself as a feminist by playing identity, gender and race politics very quickly by singling out the straight white man and then giving a black man a free pass. Even though domestic violence statistics show that black men also commit crime. But no, my narrative.
And you don't look at advertising and see that women are passive, men are active.
Because there are no adverts out there targeted towards the family where men look like bumbling fools over video games. Because there are no adverts out there targeting women as the main audience, i.e. perfume adverts, and use men as muscle or sex objects that make women look superior to men. Like that's equal at all. Let's forget for a second that it's all about marketing.
Women are objects. Men are to go adventure. Women are to be beautiful. Women are to be possessed. Men are to be the possessors in our culture.
In our culture, no. Women are free. But I can name one culture. Everything you've just said is very much true. It is not a Western developed world.
Why is that?
Because idiots like you don't call them out on their bullshit, because you instead virtue signal for them. Unless you're talking about the feminism thing still. I moved on to Islam for a moment. I apologize.
Why is it that we can sell a hamburger with a pair of breasts, but if a woman pulls her breasts out to feed her baby, which is the exact intention that it was intended for, and she happens to be in public, and a man or a woman or anyone happens to get offended by that, we are up in arms, and we will defend that person's right to their decency and their privacy and their comfortability.
To answer your first question, sex sells. It has been proven time and time again to be true. As far as breastfeeding in public goes, you and I align on this. It shouldn't be something that is banned or outlawed in places. If a baby needs to feed, a baby needs to feed. Simple. I don't really know how feminism can help here, though.
Well, you know what? I'm tired of looking at a Carl's Jr. ad where there is a naked female selling hamburgers.
Then don't watch it. Clearly the advert was not targeted at you. It was aimed at the wider audience that find it rather entertaining.
Or where there is a naked female selling razors, selling TVs, selling Audis, selling swimming pools, selling magazines. I don't care.
You say you don't care, but clearly you do. You are so triggered by the thought of an attractive woman selling something. How dare they be hot? How dare they make money for a company, or make money off their bodies, which the company in turn uses to make money, because that's the whole bloody point.
Until a woman has the legal right to be out in public topless, God forbid.
With the image you see on the screen now, the green are the states that you are permitted to walk around topless. Orange, the state's laws are ambiguous, and red, you are not allowed at all, you will be arrested. Notice those that are red are fairly religious. But the freedom is there for the majority of the country. You'd have known this if you looked it up.
I run into somebody who is giving a breastfeeding mother a hard time because I will shield that woman with my life.
I would very much like to see that. To see you shield someone who is publicly breastfeeding and being berated for breastfeeding in public, for you to then shield that person, which would therefore mean you're covering up someone who is feeding in public.
And to turn around and see 30 advertisements of women in their underwear, women in swimsuits, and less being used to sell everything from football. I digress.
And with that sheer level of triggering, I think we're done here. Thank you all for listening.